So today I want to talk about 1 year in pandemic. I want to talk about the fact that as of March 10th, we have been in this pandemic for 1 year. Normally I like to, when I make my videos, bring up articles or, whether they be news articles, scientific journals, whatever I can bring about, to try to show more information that backs up the claims that I'm trying to make, that tries to ground myself in some sort of factual analysis, reason, a data that maybe I couldn't acquire on my own because I'm a person sitting in front of a computer trying to share data and analysis and statistics with people and try to bring out the best outcomes towards the world that I want to see. And as I found myself trying to do this over the past few days, trying to make this one video, I found myself frustrated. I tried to make this video from the perspective of, well, what if I analyze it from examining the different expected death rates over the coming year? What if I analyze this from the perspective of all the things we did wrong? What if I tried to analyze it from the perspective death tolls and how we could have done that better? How could we have done this better? And every single time I got frustrated, I got angry, I got sad. Because I'm looking at statistics that show the fact that America has over 500,000 deaths, has had over 20% of the world's deaths with 5% of the world's population. I kept seeing statistics where the proposed outcomes could have been better if we'd just done a little bit more, we just changed things. And all I kept thinking to myself is how we effectively didn't handle this properly. And we haven't handled this properly. So I just need to rant and talk about that. I just need to rant and talk about the ways that I've seen, and I'm not going to show you the articles and the quotes and the statistics. I just need to rant about it. Because we weren't even prepared for a pandemic. There were years of going back where we were told, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Look at these other viruses that keep coming out, these other variants that keep coming out of different areas, and we ignored it. We even had a fictional case in the World of Warcraft where there were epidemiologists saying we can study this and learn from this, and we didn't. There were years where we were trying to prepare for the next pandemic, knowing it was coming, and we didn't. And then finally it happens in late 2019, early 2020, where the conditions on the ground set ourselves up for a pandemic. And 45, President Trump, makes all the effort to do nothing, finds it a weakness to wear a mask, creates all the institutions and the culture war around the idea that masks are somehow horrible. In a society that thinks it's perfectly normal to say things like no shirt, no shoes, no service. In a society that mandates that certain people have to wear certain outfits and clothing in certain conditions or they can lose their jobs. Where we have people who will literally lose their job for having natural hair. This is the type of society that wants to say wearing a cloth over your face is a violation of our rights. And being asked to do so not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. A president that could have mobilized PPE for everyone, a president that could have mobilized all of this stuff, did nothing. He sat on every single report. He chose actively to do nothing. And this isn't just another opportunity to rip on President Trump and a year in review, because he messed everything up in that regard. And we still have it to this day where people think it's a weakness or some sort of cultural negative phenomena to wear a mask, that it's somehow harming your fellow citizens or doesn't do anything or it's not really going to fix the problem, when science has been saying forever that wearing a mask is an issue. And we still quote that one time where Dr. Fauci said, no, we shouldn't wear masks, because he was trying to make sure that masks went to the medical professionals who needed it. So where we could have had N95s and P100s going out to the entire society, we actively chose not to. We actively chose not to enter into warlike conditions where we as a country decided to actually nationalize our production of the things that we need to survive a pandemic. And then we come to the vaccine itself, where I've tried for multiple times to come at this from the angle of how the country is failing in that regard. Where we have two vaccines, but we're too worried about intellectual property and maintaining this sense of market freedom to actively, make this something that doesn't have the value in intellectual property. That We're actively doing something that is harming the country by upholding intellectual property. Capitalism is failing. The free market is failing in this regard. And it's not even the free market because the government funded half of these projects. Germany funded the project. The US funded it by, asking for so many different cases and vaccines to be analyzed and to be produced. And so we have this nationalized version of the vaccine that is coming out where basically you have two companies, Moderna and Pfizer, trying to compete with each other to try to produce this. You have the Johnson & Johnson one trying to come out, but you could have had this mass produced in other facilities and warehouses if you just shared the intellectual property rights. As a matter of fact, the best way to handle a pandemic is to have it globalized. Make it free. That's how the flu is handled every single year. We make the analysis free to the world, and they are able to produce worldwide flu vaccines. And it saves lives. But with the coronavirus, we chose not to do this. And now we have variants popping up across the globe into the Biden administration, who's now trying to open up schools, which, as we're learning, a lot of the statistics around the schools have not been accurate, that children are able to pass this on, especially with a lot of the new variants, even if the original variant science was correct, that a lot of the studies were done on private institutions that didn't make sense. And we've opened this economy up, and we've tried to say, as states are now opening, like everything is fine because people are getting the vaccine. We're just exhaustedly looking at this and pretending like nothing's wrong. This may be the new normal that we look at, but nobody's really analyzing what this new normal looks like and how it's affected people and the grief that we have had to deal with and the mental health trauma that we're all dealing with. The fact that we had to be inside for a year. It's like the one thing that I guess the right talks about that's right, but why were we inside for a year? We were inside for a year because nobody wanted shutdowns and nobody wanted to lock down the country, and we didn't have the means to lock down the country. We didn't have the facilities and capabilities with the way we handle distribution to shut down for an extended period of time. We should have had the capacity to shut down for over 3 to 4 weeks. And if we had relied on institutions like that, and whatever, we might be talking about death rates, not just a quarter of what we had, but down into an eighth or 10th. We could be talking about pandemic levels where we dealt with maybe 50,000 deaths, and we'd still consider that possibly flawed, but still way more successful than what we're looking at right now. The US clearly has not had any sort of opportunity to handle the disaster that has been this pandemic. The US doesn't have the infrastructure to deal with this, and that's not even counting all of the other infrastructure issues that I have seen pop up that I have covered on this channel, between the Texas power grid, between Mississippi not having water, and other parts of the country that I didn't address because making the same video over and over talking about a different city in a different state is kind of exhausting and feels like an exercise in futility. This country, right now, has no capacity to look beyond the ideals that it's trying to purport of free market capitalism, of all these other things. Every single thing that I've covered on this channel shows that the state and capitalism are failing, and people will still sit there and defend it because the only thing they can muster is the energy to come up with as an argument is the word socialism. Because socialism bad. Because people of color having rights bad. That's all they keep saying. And it's codified and it's twisted and it's done in different ways. And I'm sitting here playing a game where I'm trying to analyze, how are they codifying it this time? How are they changing it this time? How do I unlock the code to show how somebody here is being racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, classist? Where's the analysis behind it? But at the end of the day, we're not really addressing the fact that 500,000 lives are lost and that we're entering into the new normal and everybody just wants to open up and pretend everything's okay. And yet I've listed all these things, and yeah, I didn't back it up with the statistics, but you can gladly look at it yourself if you really wanted to. You can go look up the articles. You can go look up all the information, because I've done close the tabs because I've cried and wept after reading so much of it for so many days in a row. And you know what? For all those who might come into this video and say, oh, well, don't you want to go outside? Yes, I want to go outside. Yes, I want to go out for a walk again and feel like I can do so without having neighbors who don't wear masks, who make it feel literally unsafe to go to the supermarket or the store because they want to wear it on their chin instead of over their noses. I am tired of existing in a society where a bunch of people being asked to wear a piece of cloth over their face is somehow this exercise in exhaustion and a violation of the First Amendment. Meanwhile, there's police brutality going on. Meanwhile, there's all this other stuff going on. Kentucky just passed a law, and I might cover this, I might not, but Kentucky just tried to pass a law that makes it illegal to insult a cop. And yet we're talking about this culture war nonsense. We're talking about Mr. Potato Head. We're talking about all this other stuff. But 500,000 Americans have died. More have died across the globe. All of them could have been saved. All of them could have been brought. All of those numbers could have been brought down dramatically. Yeah, maybe we couldn't save every single one. Fine, that's hyperbolic. But we could have saved so many of them. We could have saved so many lives if we had institutions that valued empathy, compassion, care, human life over profit for just one freaking year. But we don't. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting trying to cover all this and to come at this with reason when there is no reason behind the other perspective. When other people can make all these videos that is just them shouting at a camera, exhaustively trying to just rile up anger in people. And I'm sitting here indignant and angry over real things that are affecting people, that are causing lives to be lost, that are causing starvation, where people are in their homes choosing between food and rent and medicine on a daily basis. And I'm just trying to do my small part making content because I don't care about me in this channel. I just care about the data getting out there. I care about people learning. I don't want to be a demagogue. I don't want to be somebody who's applauded for all the stuff that I do. I don't even want to have my face out there. In my ideal world, I would just be a voice, in the democracy that I want to see happen. I would just be a nobody, just like everybody else. I don't want this channel to be something in which I am looked to for all the answers. I want us to foster, to create it. And we've had the solutions. We've had the solutions in play for this pandemic. We've had the solutions in play for the infrastructure. We have potential ideas that we can try. We have all sorts of things, and things keep stepping on the ground on the way to making those things happen. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting looking at all the ways that we're prevented from making good happen because we're trying to live up to certain ideals of the free market standards of capitalism and laissez-faire, and people need stimulus checks. This, $2,000 last year, but now we're going to get $1,400 one time. And then it's just the lack of nuance in all the discourse as we try to de-escalate things, as we try to make anything better. The fact that it's not perfect and ideal in the other regard is absolutely exhaustive as well. Nothing was going to be perfect, because this country isn't perfect. Nothing is going to reach the ideals where we're going to shut down everything. Nothing is going to reach the ideals where we take everything away, where we make it instantaneously better, where we flick our fingers and some politician comes in and saves it. It's going to take years of de-escalating issue after issue after issue, and nothing is going to be good for a long time. We have built this. The former generations have built this. We have a legacy where we have assumed all of these things, and it's going to take a long time to make it all better. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. It's probably not going to happen in the lifetime of most of the people who are watching this video, even if you're young. But that doesn't mean it's not worthwhile to take a step every single day in the right direction to try to fight these things, because who knows? Maybe it's just a small handful of people who will actively create the resistance that we need, and it'll suddenly spark overnight. Maybe fire will catch, and it'll happen. And not in a destructive, bad way, not in a way of anything like that, but maybe a fervor will come across this country, and we will wake up collectively and realize we'll oversee and get past the propaganda, all of the nuance that the right throws at us, all of the culture war nonsense, all of the things that we're meant to be angry about. Maybe we'll actively come down and start talking to our neighbors and start listening to one another, and it'll actively save lives. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore with this video. I feel like I started on the pandemic and I've gone through a train of thought that has been my entire thought process in making videos and content. Maybe it's an analysis of my thought process, my brain right now, and maybe that's okay. So, I don't have some sort of witty conclusion about how to fix things or how to make things better today. I don't know. Maybe we all need to start having conversations about it and start taking it seriously about how we're going to de-escalate the problems in ways that make sense, how we're going to incrementalize things, because I don't see the revolution happening tomorrow. I don't see it happening.